Welcome to unMadeGaming, where again, we're not late, you are. Welcome to what I can only assume will be as much of a shit show as the beginning of the stream. This is Blaze of Glory. We're here with an all-star cast. Everyone here is very experienced in the system. We've played dozens of times before, and we're ready to go do space stuff. That being said, I'm here with a bunch of familiar faces to the channel. We have Sam, aka Wasn't Fool. We have McLogan. We have Cherry Babam Gaming. And we have Johnny, aka Video Store Cowboy. That being said, we do have a new feature to the stream this season. If you guys check down at the bottom right-hand corner of the bar, you will see Thurs Fortune. Whenever that bar fills, Johnny gets to inject whatever the hell kind of weirdness and narrative hoo-ha that he wants to. But the more important feature of that bar is every dollar that goes towards filling that bar gets split amongst these players at the end of the month. So if you guys want to help support these players, please do. If you guys want to help support the channel, please check us out on Patreon or join us over on Discord. And with that, I turn things over to Johnny to take us into space. I hope.
Blaster fire. Bolts of down a hallway. The four of you are somehow positioned in this hallway, and so I'm going to ask each of you to tell me about it. But blaster fire is happening. You're in the middle of a job. Switch. Let's start with you. You're hidden behind a sort of a cargo container.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Switch in that moment of action.
Yeah. All right. So we see Switch. He's kind of middling height, average build, scruffy looking fellow. He wears a gray jacket, long jacket that may have been fine at one point. And I like to pick an actor. If I was going to cast this character, I would pick Robert Sheehan from Umbrella Academy, who plays Klaus. So if you've looked him up, but yeah, and he probably has like a cigarette in his mouth, but like because they're like in this blaster fight, it's burned kind of to a stub, and so now it's just kind of like smoking, and he's not really puffing on it anymore. Yeah, he generally has kind of the space cowboy aesthetic, but outside of the occasional the blaster burns and a little bit of dust and general dirt from the job, he's maybe a little bit dressed nicer than you would expect from an authentic kind of frontiersman. And he's pinned down behind this crate, holding his two fancy signature pistols. And he's peering around the corner looking for his crew and hoping to take off a pot shot.
So as you kind of like you kind of peer around, you're looking down towards the sort of the group of guards that are kind of have their blaster rifles, and they're all wearing sort of like interesting uniforms that are not necessarily military, but they're not necessarily not either. Feels more like a sort of a private sector sort of guns for hire kind of an army situation. You look down and you see Levi sort of positioned behind another crate a little bit farther down the hallway. Levi, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're doing in that position, taking cover from this blaster fire. Can't really hear you, man.
Sorry, I'm muted. That's why. Behind the crate, you guys, if you look over at me, you just see some like cargo pants sticking out of the wall as a panel's open, and you just see sparks flying in there. And he's like, all you hear is, "I'm gonna find that fucking blaster door. I'm gonna fucking find it. Don't you fucking worry." And he's just like shocking shit, and then looking out. And when he comes out, he's got like a tank top on, and then there's a robot, and you see it lighting up and talking, and he's like, "Shut the fuck up, Siri. Okay, Jesus fucking Christ." And he's like trying to like shock shit. And then like you see he's got like a blue mohawk, like very long and not like spiky, but like just long hair there. And he's got like goggles on, and he's like zooming in, looking at people, and then like zooming in and looking at this and like chalking shit. Very much like a very dingy shirt and like sweaty, got like oil stains like on him and like dirt stains like under his eye, and he's like sweating profusely as he's got like his hacking tools, and he's like trying to find the right mechanism to activate the blaster door to get broken away from the private security.
Muted.
It's like a
All right, 2 for 2. All right, does that mean that you're actually trying to hack the planet there or hack the system?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so since you've made that a pretty accurate description, I feel like it's time for us to actually get into the nitty gritty and do some sort of a role here. So describe specifically how Levi is approaching this. Is it just from his terminal, or is he using the autonomous robot or the droid Siri or whatever? Is there like something conjunction there, or is this just straight up like?
Right now, it's a competitive game between the two because the robot's like, I'm giving you a head start. I can solve this faster than you can. And he's like, shut the fuck up, Siri. And he's like trying to like do this. And it's like being very sassy and being very demeaning to him right now as he's like trying to shut the blaster door. So that's what's going on. It's become a competition between the two.
Okay. So what kind of a role is this, or what kind of an action do you want to use here?
Hack.
Okay. So you're going to use hack.
Mm-hmm.
This seems risky. So we're going to talk position and effect. Position being, sort of the element of whether it's in a controlled situation or you're completely out of fucking control, and there's just the death is on the line kind of a thing. So we're going to talk about the position first. So controlled being everything is working out great. Risky being there's an element of you failing and it going worse. But otherwise, your death is not, your life is not on the line yet, or death is on the line here, and it's desperate action. What do you think that the sort of the position here is of the situation?
Honestly, I think it's risky because I imagine Switch is giving me cover fire, and then Super Mystic Jedi is doing something, and I don't know what it is. And then the doctor, I don't know what the doctor is doing.
Oh, I'm hiding behind Fitzy.
We'll find out soon.
Yeah. And, like,
physically want to know where I am. I'm hiding behind him.
But like he's behind a crate, like right now. He's not like having to actively like dodge bullets. Like he's got some cover. So that's why I say it's risky. If it fails, I imagine it's just gonna jam the door, and he's gonna be like fuck, and like have to like participate in the gunfire.
Okay. So talking about the possibility of the effect being jammed, the doors being jammed, and it being open, and the assault continuing. Let's talk about effect. Now, effect is the sort of a tangible element of the result of what you're doing, and that could be limited to the door, or it could be sort of more of a standard kind of a thing, which might be maybe you've got the whole set of doors in this particular sector, or sorry, this particular hallway that are all going to shut at the same time, maybe locking those hired soldiers, those hired guards just coming in with a blaster fire, or maybe it's the entire complex that you're in. So that would be a great effect. So realistically, and what this will do is this will also have an effect if there's like a negative. For example, since this is a competition with Siri, maybe what happens is if you fail and it's sort of like a standard or even a greater effect, Siri might broadcast how much of a failure you actually are across the net, and kind of build the bragging rights that Siri, the autonomous robot, is much better hacker than you are, kind of a thing. Is the circumstances of what happens when things fail.
And I would like to think that everyone thinks Siri's a real person.
Okay, sure. And so Siri, the autonomous, sort of like robot thing, has its own reputation on the net.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So from all of that, sort of like, what is the effect here? Is it limited to just that door? Is it standard, so it's the hallway, or is it great, which is the entire you gain control of the entire complex here?
I don't think he's thinking about the entire complex at the moment because he's being shot at. So I think he's very focused on this hallway. And so that's what he's getting, trying to get control of the hallway so we can get some distance and then figure it out as we go. Okay,
so standard effect. So the position is risky. The effect is going to be standard. Looks like you've got 2 dice in the hack.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
No, it's too early.
You say it's too early. I say, well, devil's bargains are always fun. The other thing I would ask is, so we are starting in the middle of a job. That means that there is a counter of what? Sam, I think the glory has 3 gambit. You could also use a gambit, which would also give you an additional die. But that's a limited pool of 3, and that's basically sort of like a luck situation.
What's a gambit?
A gambit is a mechanic that's associated with the crew and the ship itself, and the gambit provides you just essentially an extra dice pool that you can grab. It's like it's an additional. Hey, I would like I need an additional die in this situation. I'm going to pull that in, and it's a limited pool of 3 that you can spend, and that refreshes every job. Okay. So right now you guys are in the middle of a job. So
let me do gambit and get a +1 gambit thing.
Okay, so perfect. So take an additional die when you click on hack and you go through the position and effect and you do the roll. Make sure you add an additional die at the end and reduce the gambit pool on the ship sheet to 2, please.
Excuse me. Okay, so I position risky.
Mm-hmm.
Effect standard.
That is correct.
Bonus dice 1.
Yep.
3, 2, 6.
Nice.
Okay, so just going over the mechanics really quickly of the way that dice rolls work. A 6 is a success. And it's good that you use the gambit because otherwise you would have failed in this particular situation. But that gambit actually pushed you over because that's the 3rd die in sort of the mix there. So you all you need is a 6 to succeed. If you had gotten 2 6s, that would have been a crit, and then that would have, of course, made you look really good to Siri, and you would have bragging rights over Siri, this autonomous robot thing. Mm-hmm. If it had been a 4 or 5, it would have been a success, but there would have been a complication involved, or some other element would have come into this. And then, of course, 1 through 3 is a failure. So, So with a 6, describe to us what happens in the scene as Levi successfully hacks the door.
So basically, he goes through and he's like sparking it, and then he comes over to some circuit board and then like has like a little bit of solder, and then he's like soldering it. And he's like that diode right there, and then he's like starts doing it. And like Siri is just very much getting in his face, and she's like, you're a loser, right? You're not going to succeed. And then like it's very much talking shit to him. And he's like, fuck off. And then like as soon as he does that, there's like and then the door goes.
That went from sassy to aggressive. No one even likes you.
I think
You smell funny. I can't even smell, but I can tell.
I can see the sweat pouring off of you, you stinky command.
As the blaster
Siri
doors
just reads mean tweets. It's just that.
Wow. Blaster doors close, Star Wars style, as they kind of come in and just shut like that. And you can hear the pinging of the blasters as they're hitting off the blast door, but the blast door is clearly closed. As we cut to Sally, blaster fire has just stopped. You were also behind a crate. How do we find Sally?
Oh, Fitzy, did you get shot? I thank you for getting shot at. I don't like getting shot at.
No, I didn't get shot at. What are you talking about? No, I don't want your candy. We're in the middle of a fight.
I want your candy.
No, you don't want the candy.
Tosses one to Levi.
Don't eat that. We're in the middle of a mission. Son of a bitch.
He'll be fine. It's
Look,
all
I
right.
didn't hire anyone to eat candy. Let's shoot the guys.
I'm not shooting. I fix you up when you get shot. That's what I'm here for. Why did you even bring me here on this particular?
Oh, for shite's sake.
So is there anyone left in our side of the door when it shuts?
No. Levi was able to close the blast door as they were slowly advancing on you guys, and you're actually able to take a moment and take in the hallway. You're in essentially what looks like a really long sort of hallway with various sort of crates and doors, along sort of like heading off. And of course, they're like Star Wars or Star Trek sort of sliding doors back and forth. The blast door itself that Levi closed is designed to manage sort of like sections and close things off, not only from a security purpose, but also from a biological purpose. So, and it's that at that moment that you're able to, take a breather and realize, kind of reassess the situation about where you are and what you're doing. You are currently on a job for an undisclosed client through one of your contacts who has asked you to acquire something from an educational institution on the planet Nightfall. Now, interesting thing about Nightfall, it is essentially a cultural and sort of populated sort of center of various sort of races and cultures, and various levels of class in respect to essentially high society to all the way to poverty, kind of a thing. There is an educational institution that is located sort of near the city center that is run by a couple of different sort of hegemony organizations that is together for various reasons, one of them being research into the precursors, sort of artifacts and technology. You were sent here to acquire a sort of interesting precursor artifact by, again, this undisclosed sort of client through one of your contacts who usually gets you jobs. What you know about this situation is that it's basically just a smuggling job. You're gonna, or a heist. You're gonna grab something and get out, but things went all kinds of wrong. It was almost as if somebody was expecting you to show up, and so from the beginning, once Levi was able to get you initial access into the system, these sort of like armed guards type, private army kind of a thing has been chasing you, and you don't understand it, but they are not directly connected to this educational institution. So, with a moment to breathe, what are you guys doing?
Do we have the artifact, or are we still looking for it?
You're still looking to get the artifact.
Okay.
It's a bit of a shite sandwich here we got here, Captain. What are we doing? Listen, we're both deep in a trench and everyone has guns back there.
Look, that's
all
why
I have is these.
That's why I brought you along. Don't worry.
It turns out I can't punch bullets.
He does one of those little like flippy things. He probably like practiced it in a mirror, so he like flips his guns and throws them into the holsters. And he's like, "All right, look, Doc, you gotta be familiar with these kind of places. I mean, come on, which way are we going? Where do you think this artifact's gonna be?"
She looks at the space wizard, looks back to her drugs.
He asking her because it's a dirty hallway and she's a lady. She's familiarity with dirty hallways.
Look, all I'm saying is she's a doctor. I assume she's gone to school at some point. I mean, we only got a few seconds here.
You're assuming a lot there, Captain.
I mean...
Doctor's more of a title.
Yeah, and I'm medicine. I don't know... Shut up, Fitzy.
All right, what are we thinking here? How do we find... What are we looking for? Do we even know what it looks like? You just said, find an artifact on the school planet, and here we are.
Look, we got the description. We got the picture. We just got to get in and get out. All right, look, here's what I think.
Right.
Levi's in the system.
Yeah.
We got one way to go.
Sure.
We're not going to go back to the guys with the guns.
It could be a fun time.
That seems clear to me here. So I say we keep going. We try to find somebody, and we ask them nicely to show us where the artifact is. And at the worst case scenario, we got a hostage situation, and that's leverage.
Wait, I missed the part about the hostage. Who are we taking?
What?
We're gonna find. Well,
we gotta get a hostage. So now we gotta get a hostage, and we have to get an artifact.
No, well, first we gotta find somebody
who's made this plan.
Look, all right, I've got it covered. I got it covered. Look, we got the map right here. So I'm gonna spend stress here to do a flashback, and it's going to take basically like I'm thinking that it's like taking place back on the Blaze of Glory. and it's probably like in whatever like mess room or like whatever like kind of like the general crew meeting room is. And Switch has this old beat up like map, like blueprint style map that he got from somewhere as part of this job, like spread out on the table. And he's got like the different locations marked out, and he's just like, all right, guys, here's the thing. I got the locations mapped out. I'm not 100% sure that this thing is still accurate. And I'm not going to lie to you. I tend to get turned around when, we're running around. We're going, maybe there's going to be, I don't know, vents or something to go through. I need everyone to memorize this map. Can we do that?
Imagine you cut to the rest of the group. Someone's like picking their nails with a knife.
Yeah.
Levi is drunk in the corner. He's like, what?
When you play baseball, you just catch the baseball rather when you're laying down. That's what he's doing.
I will study the map.
No, yeah. So I think that's like maybe the perfect place to end the flashback, and then it like cuts back to Switch being like, all right, who's looked at the map? And then he's like, ah, fuck, and he starts moving around. And I'd like to come up with the this map here, if possible, as part of our planning. I'll spend
all right.
stress.
If you want to spend 1 stress, you can come up with a map. If you want to spend 2 stress, I will actually give every player the ability to roll with a +1 die to determine whether they remember anything about the map at all. If you want to spend 2 stress.
Oh yeah, let's do it. 2 stress.
All right. So anytime any information comes up about you needing to know what's going on in the system or what's going on around here, you get a +1 die for Switch's sort of like sacrificial, I'm fucked with stress kind of a situation. All right. So you pull the map out. All right. So you pull the map out and you've got it laid out in front of you. What are you looking for here?
I think what Switch is looking for is like some sort of like back entrance or like a ventilation duct, or like basically something they can do. I guess in like a university, there might even be kind of like a janitor's entrance. Basically like some way kind of that they can go around where the main path is and still be headed towards the artifact.
Okay, so like every university or general educational institution, for the most part, there is a series of like ducts and like otherwise like, like sort of a backstage kind of a thing. There's even an underground complex that, is sort of like, like the steam tunnels kind of a thing for an educational institution. Now, this is a high-end sort of high-class educational institution, again, run by a couple of different hegemony organizations. So you are like the sort of the way through here is going to be really obvious, but it's also going to be a little bit sort of complicated as you get down there and get through things. So you can see that, not like 50 or 60 feet from you, there is an entrance that leads down into the sort of what would be considered the sort of like the underground of this particular educational institution. And when you're looking at the area that you're currently in, where Levi was actually able to hack sort of the doors and have them kind of shut, that's actually sort of the biological labs element of this educational institution. It was originally rated for high-end sort of like, bioengineering research. And now it's now just specimen studies.
Cool. Yeah, I'll point out the back entrance there, and I'll be like, all right, gang, I think that's our only option. Let's make to it here.
Well, lead the way.
Yeah, he'll do it. He pulls out one of his signature pistols, and he'll duck into this. I'm imagining it's like kind of a little bit small and cramped in this kind of like back area, and he'll make sure everyone gets in and then close the entrance behind him.
Well, hold on. because you make your way down the hall, right? And you're kind of navigating around these crates. As you're walking by each of these crates, you realize that they are actually specimen cages, and they have been, emptied or closed. And you can see all the doors that are kind of closed next to you are all, like have various labels like, experiment 342 or, lab, lab extra large size, specimens kind of stuff, right? And so you make your way to this this janitor's sort of entrance, this entrance into sort of the backstage of this educational institution, and there is a biometric lock on the door.
Oh boy.
What's your plan now?
Can the doctor fake biometrics?
I don't know that I would have anything to do next.
All right. How many guards were outside with the guns? Johnny, how many guards were outside with guns?
There was an advance of like 10.
That's too many, Johnny.
You're absolutely right. Welcome to Scum and Villainy.
I need way less. I need like 2 or 3.
Why is that?
So I can punch them. I can't punch 10 people, Johnny.
Do space wizards punch people?
Yeah. They do.
Yeah, this one does.
I'm really confused.
Because the wording on not a lightsaber is very vague. And it says you can focus way energy into your melee weapon. And as a space Irishman, the only 2 weapons I need are these. Fisticuffs. Old Johnny O'Reilly and Thomas O'Malley.
Yeah, I'll look to Levi then. I'll say, look, Levi, we've been doing this a long time. I know that you can hack a biometric. Come on.
I mean, you can give it a shot.
I'd rather you take a shot than me get shot, so here we are.
Okay, hold on, let me see. And then I start getting into the system and seeing if I
we're
can
taking
hack
shots
the...
now.
Why are we drinking?
He said, I'd rather you take a shot than I take a shot. I mean, I'll take a shot if we're taking shots. Ooh. I don't want the candy, Doc. Damn it. I still don't. I don't like sweets or drugs.
Okay.
Drugs.
I'm sorry, I don't like sweets. It's too much sugar. It's bad for your teeth.
Work on a drug jerky in my next set of experiments for you.
If you could, that'd be great.
All right.
At this moment, what I'm doing is I'm got like another thing that I've plugged in, and it's like a little like laptop, and I'm like, doop, 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 and I'm looking at because I need something a little bit more advanced. Then I start looking for the biometric scanner that he's asking about, and then finding people who have access in the database, running a query. And so to that door, finding their DNA strand and then making a clone and tricking the door into opening with that.
That's a pretty complex fucking narrative description, buddy. That sounds awesome.
Okay.
It sounds like another hack.
Yes. This is controlled because I'm not in a rush. Am I?
Oh no, you are definitely not in a rush. You are in a controlled situation for sure.
Okay.
However, the effect also seems like it's kind of a limited situation because you're only focused on this particular door, unless you want to do this in such a way like you can expand the scope of this and all biometric locks. Either in the sector or the section of the complex or the entire complex. So we can talk about effect, as either limited, standard, or great based on those 3 things.
I once again, I don't think opening every biometric door is a smart idea because I don't know what the fuck is behind those doors.
Sure.
So let's just focus on our job and then focus on that one door. So let's try it. All right, I'm going to roll it. No bonus dice.
You don't want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain? Or you could get an assist.
Well, my hacker ability, you may expend your social armor or special armor to resist the consequences of hacking.
So that's if you fail.
That's if you fail.
Okay, let's do that. Let's use my special armor.
Well, but you gotta roll first.
You need to roll, and if you fail, that's what happened.
So if you succeed, you don't need it.
Okay, let's roll. I'm just gonna roll it.
Okay.
4 and a 1.
All right. So you did succeed. You got a partial success. You did succeed, but there is going to be a consequence to this unless you'd like to resist it. Now, note your social armor or your special armor that you're talking about, the resistance, that can only be used the number of times it's available to you per job. Once you're out of the job, it will reset.
Okay, let's use it.
Okay. And how many you've got 1 or 2 for that? Do you know? Based on your playbook?
We have 1.
I was assuming so, but
unless you have a special ability or something, you just get the 1 special armor.
I don't know where that's marked down at.
If you see on your sheet under the vices, there's armor, heavy, and special, and you just click the bar next to special, and it'll show up that you used it for the session or for this score.
I've also been indulging my vice.
Whoops.
Yikes. All right. So, describe to me what that actually looks like when you succeed, and then I'll talk about the consequences that sort of comes into play and in your special armor preventing that.
Okay. So what I do is that I run a SQL query, something basic that that looks for a list of people that or have access to this door, and then once I find someone who, let's say Robert Paulson, Robert Paulson, and then I find his DNA strand within his security profile and extract that. And make a dummy clone of it that tricks the sensor into that someone's accessing the door and opening it.
So, did you say Robert Paulson?
Yeah.
So, in doing that,
it's applicable because he's the all-seeing, all-singing, all-dancing crab of the universe.
Exactly. At which point, what happens is, as you're kind of doing that, you see a subroutine kick off because it turns out that Robert is actually dead. And so you watch the subroutine begin, and it starts firing off towards the security system, and indicating that this person is dead and that they should not be accessing this access control point. And you realize that, and you're able to sort of circumvent that message actually getting off, and you're able to shut down sort of the access to the security system from this biometric scanner, bringing it in, and the door just slides open.
And at this point, as he's doing it, he's like, these dumb motherfuckers don't update their fucking database on these fucking goddamn it. And he's shocking, typing super fast to block this. And he's like, I got the door open, but I'm taking care of shit.
Seems good to me.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll head on through. Keep on trekking.
So as you do, you actually head down sort of into lower access tunnels. And there's a couple of distinct things that are interesting about this. The decor absolutely changes from sort of this sort of plasteel metal sort of looking thing, and very sort of seamless panels and doors kind of a thing as you come down into what looks more like concrete, iron, and a bunch of conduits for cables and stuff. And so as you're sitting, sort of down in there, and you come down, a level essentially into this. It also smells really damp and sort of musty, and there's a dirty smell as well. And you can hear the drip, drip, drip of water, or not necessarily water, but maybe a fluid of some kind just in the distance. And as you're kind of looking at this, assessing the situation, Switch, that you generally need to be heading a direction that leads towards the left. To get to the access point. So,
unless this map is terribly wrong, folks, we got to keep left. So, let's get to it.
Is this a swamp or a ship? Where the fuck are we?
Apparently it's a school still, but
who's going to fucking school here?
Look,
this hardly seems sanitary.
What do they teach him down here?
Look, Why are you asking me?
You're the one that brought us here.
I'm just trying to figure out who, what, when, where, and why, and we're in the middle of what?
All I'm trying to do is make us all some money. We go left, we find the thingy, the goddamn MacGuffin. It's an artifact, and somebody wants it. Okay, that's all that really matters. This whole conversation's happening like as they just walked out. It's like, look, I thought you guys were on board for this kind of thing when I picked you up, and
I just want the shiny thing.
I saw Fitzy knock that guy clean out, and he was looking for a job, and here we are.
I just wanted to investigate the shiny thing before we give it to whoever.
I'm not gonna lie right now. I'm high as a fucking.
No, he's fine. Just it's beneficial.
Levi, how many have you had? Levi,
No,
Levi,
what?
How many have you had? Under or over in?
Are you a police officer?
I'm not.
You'd have to tell him, right?
I'm a priest.
You're a priest. Well, I'm not religious, so.
That's fine. Neither am I.
Well, I've had none.
I don't believe you. I've seen you eat half a dozen.
That was earlier in the day.
It was 25 minutes ago.
That was earlier in the day, wasn't it?
You got
here.
me.
There we go.
Just take one more. That's fine. It's a different kind. It'll fix it. I promise.
Half dozen and one.
Look, honestly, I would judge Doctor, but as far as it seems like everything he's doing is working. So I mean, keep doing it.
I'm helping. This is how I help.
Listen, I'm here to navigate you through space and to punch things in the face. We're not doing neither of those two things, so I'm following your lead, Captain. He starts walking left down the hallway.
As you are walking down sort of this long sort of like underground sort of hallway, which is much larger than sort of the corridors. Like upstairs was probably like a couple, maybe 10 or 15 feet wide. This is like 45, 50 feet wide, and there's conduits and all kinds of shit running. There's various stairways. As you're kind of moving forward down this, the lighting in the next area, like a section farther down, is starting to flicker a little bit.
Would you look at that? We've got a bit of a spooky light there.
Yeah, is it?
Ghosts. For sure. That's what happens when the light flickers. It's ghosts. You see your own breath. It gets colder. Space ghost. Coast to coast. It's a common thing.
You got space sage or some shit for that?
Space sage? What, am I a hippie? I'm a priest, not a witch.
No, it's fine. You. Just go pray the scary away.
It's a different slogan entirely.
Or did either of you that are, more mechanical, is the ship failing in some sort of way, or is it just this area?
Are we on a ship? I thought we were
just
on
a light.
Where the fuck are we?
You're in an educational institution on a planet, not a ship.
Are we stopping just for a light? Just keep going. And Fitzy continues walking past the flickering light.
Switch is keeping moving as well.
I tighten the light bulb.
Sally nods and still gets close to Fitzy with the bottle of something mysterious that she's holding out in case this.
I tighten the light bulb.
Good.
So the lighting panel, you're not going to be able to actually tighten anything because it's all behind panels, and it's a real pain in the ass to kind of pull out. It's a very specialized kind of a tool. I'm sure Levi has it, but he'd have to dig back into his pack, and then Siri would, of course, heckle him while that's going on.
Oh, I bet you can't fix a fucking light.
And as we move on, as you guys are continuing down, the light is still flickering, and you're moving beyond what is known as the sort of the bioengineering section of the sort of the educational institution to the sort of archaeological and ancient artifact section. This is the area where your target actually is, the item that you guys are here to actually steal. And as you are sort of entering into to that section, the flickering is still kind of happening, and very far off, way behind you, you hear a distant sort of roar, and it's got a sort of a high-pitched element to the roar.
What the fuck did you give me?
I actually heard that one too, so I think
we should leave.
Look.
Oh, that sounds like a terrifying monster.
Look,
Go punch it.
That's what I'm excited about.
Doc, you ever heard of anything like that before? In yours?
Fine, I'll fix him up later.
Johnny, have I ever heard anything that makes that noise before?
Do you want to give me some sort of a roll?
I would. I mean, did I hear the monster sound before is a nonsensical roll. This isn't Dungeons & Dragons. But I would like to know, is there some kind of creature that would produce a roar like that would be commonly used in a defensive manner on a planet like this? And I would like to give you a study roll.
So all right, that's a really great sort of like description of why you're wanting to roll. But how the fuck would Fitzy have that information in the first place?
I mean, despite the fact that I look like the dude and am drunk half the time and fighting the other half of the time, I am a academic and wandering space priest. So he is quite learned despite his disheveled appearance. I grew up on, like, college planets. The academic planets.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
No, I might, but in this particular case, he'd probably know better than I would.
You can help. So if you want to spend one stress, it can be like Sally putting her head together with Fitzy.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that.
So yeah, you just gotta like describe how you're helping, and then spend one stress. And right, as long as the GM's okay with it, of course.
Well, Sam, have you ever heard me say no to an assist of any kind? I mean,
no, I just throwing it out there.
Okay. All right. So, I totally buy what Fitzy is doing. So study makes sense here. Generally, here's what you would know before you even made that roll. You aren't aware of, even in your limited whatever experience, you aren't aware of generally that something like this would be used, and you are aware that this is this is not some sort of recording or anything else. This is actually a creature of some kind. Yeah. So go ahead and give me a roll, and then I'll let you. We'll kind of figure out the answer for that.
Okay. And I have a +1 from Sally.
Sally, how are you giving this assist again?
That's a good question. What kind of noise did you describe it as again? One more time.
It's this sort of loud, distant roar. It's definitely biological in nature, and there's like a high-pitched whine to it too. It would be very distinct.
I'm gonna say I pull out just like a little tablet or phone or something, and I've started flipping through animals, trying to remember which one or
some sort of like bestiary or sort of biological. Okay, all right.
And trying to remember what makes that noise. Not that I've encountered the beast before, but I've heard like a recording of the sound.
Perfect. Sounds like a great roll. Go ahead and roll it, Fitzy.
All right. I think it's controlled.
In this situation, it is controlled. A fact. I feel like this is going to be standard, if only because there's an element of there's an extra element of information, or there's an extra element of detail that this might actually help or hurt you. I don't think it's as limited to you just identifying the creature. You would also understand the circumstances where you would typically find this creature, and if there's something like out of the ordinary or what have you.
Okay, I agree with that.
Okay.
And 1 bonus dice.
Yep.
A 6.
Well. So was Fitzy sort of a scout? Was he a member of the sort of the youth sort of organizations that that take and foster children in the in the wilds, different planets, or was his dad just like a drunk who just took him on camping trips and left him to wander aimlessly?
I don't think either. I think Fitzy actually came from relative prominence and then has just fallen to be a wayward drunken priest. Not to be
So
a
he's got a high class education then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you don't mind me taking over just for a second for Fitzy. Like the moment the roar hits and you immediately sort of drop into this like mode of like it breaks the sort of the caricature that is Fitzy, and you go to in almost like this sort of mentat sort of like mentality of like having like all this like educational information just pop to the forefront of your brain as it starts to sort through. And Sally's sort of swiping through something, and she gives you some piece of information that talks about something about the roar and the noise, and that's when your brain starts to sort of stop sorting through like all these different possibilities, and it comes down to a couple of limited choices, and then it comes down to one, and you realize that it is this gigantic sort of furry creature that is not quite like the size and shape of like a crocodile, like a gigantic crocodile, but it's like it's got this vision sort of situation that like it's just this grotesque monstrosity that's got lots of fur and slobbering sort of thing, and it's wine, the roar and the wine that come from this are essentially a sort of like a mating call kind of a thing, and it moves incredibly fast, and it moves in a way that's actually very erratic, and its attacks are really sort of like intense. And as you begin to process all of this, the rest of you are kind of looking at him for just a second as he's doing that. The roar gets louder, and you start to hear scraping from behind you.
I don't want to alarm anybody, but the giant monster that we're hearing roaring all over the place, I think it's a mating call. It wants to fuck one of us.
Oh, not me, thank you. No.
I couldn't tell if it was a male or a female, but I'm pretty sure the males are the ones that roar louder to attract. So, I think it comes down to one of us.
Siri.
Definitely Siri.
Perfect, Siri it is. She's got intake and outtake ports. That's fine. Put her right in there.
All right then. I mean, seems like okay. You're the expert.
On fucking a robot.
I mean, I didn't say it, so.
I've never done that before. I'm not going to turn it down if she's available.
She's just being a sassy bitch today, so.
Is it different from any other day?
Well, maybe just put her in her place. Have her fight the giant monster and see how far she gets. Right, Siri?
It's like the worst space commercial. Do you have a sassy robot? Get it dicked down by a giant monster.
It's fine.
All right, well, if Siri's taking the lead, we gotta get moving. I mean, that door's only gonna stop those guards. They're gonna figure out where the hell we got.
Literally, Siri's not gonna be able to do anything. She's a fucking repair robot.
Siri, take one for the team.
Don't.
Fitzy, we got this.
Yeah, I mean, worst case, we just use Siri as a distraction.
Can't we just
punch
fucking
it.
go?
Yes, let's go. I mean, I think we're running towards it, but that's okay. And Fitzy just takes off.
Take out the guns and follow.
So all of you are making a run, it sounds like, but it sounds like you're leaving Siri behind. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, we're not leaving Siri behind. It was a joke because she was being sassy.
It's too bad. Let's move on. Okay. Because I actually have a good bit of subplot that I could actually play out for that, but let's move on. All right. So you're running down this sort of like this long way, and Switch, you realize that the door that you're very close to, that's another sort of 25 feet away as you're kind of moving in, is the door that you need to get up into like this art, this archaeological and artifact section of this particular educational institution. And just as you're kind of like in sight and you're very close to it, you hear another sort of high-pitched roar as if in response down what looks to be like a cornered, sort of way coming in your general direction. And there's another biometric thing on the door. What are you guys doing?
That sounds like the other one.
What?
Oh, there's two of them.
All right, so can I trick this one too, doing the same thing, but choosing someone else that's not dead?
Sure. You surely can. The situation here is going to be at least risky, if not desperate, though.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I think Switch is gonna like if there's like anything he can like drag to like stabilize, like he's gonna like try to get ready for this thing that he's gonna have to shoot.
All right. So if Switch is getting it set up and Levi is beginning to hack the biometrics, what are Fitzy and Sally doing?
I'm warming up me fisticuffs.
Yeah, I'd probably make sure he was ready to fight. Asked him if he wanted anything.
No, I
Pull out random syringes.
I don't
or
want your drugs.
Gas or offer a drug.
No. How do you give it a tank of gas just inside your coat?
Look, you say you don't need them now, but later you'll be thankful.
I'll be unconscious later, and I don't care what you stick in me.
That's right, you are more cooperative when you're unconscious. She kind of whispers to herself.
I heard that. You're right next to me.
It's fine. Okay, I'm just here for moral support, or I could try to stick it with drugs. That could piss it off more, or it could make it easy. We'll see.
Either way,
There's
sounds great to me.
There's another responding roar from behind you guys as Levi gets the chance to hack. So it's going to be risky unless there's an argument for somehow you can argue that it's going to be controlled, or if you want to argue desperate, you can do that and then take some XP.
Well, it might be desperate because I think this thing might want to have sex with him. So he's trying to get the fuck out of there. He doesn't know.
Or maybe Levi believes that the thing wants to have sex with him.
Oh God!
Yes.
Oh God! Oh God!
Which, like the thought crosses him and he's like, but he doesn't know what it is. So it might also be trying to eat him.
And then I think like the roar happens again. We just hear Switch. Levi, whatever the hell you're doing, do it quick.
So let's do desperate.
Okay.
Because he's like trying to frantically do it, and Siri's very much like, that thing wants you, and it's going to win, and it's going to.
So I got a question for you then. So she's antagonistic just normally, but is she aware of your like intoxicated state and manipulating you even more?
That I do not know. I don't think it's that sophisticated. But maybe she has data on when I eat candy, I get more paranoid, depending on what candies I eat. So now I'm just like, fuck. Like, no, this might be bad. So let's do it limited effect or great effect.
Desperate. Let's call it limited at this particular point. Make sure that you do mark on your character sheet for the insight the 1 XP that you just gained.
Okay.
Because you are in a desperate situation here.
Okay. But like Siri the whole time is just very much like, oh, do you know, is that the right code right there? Oh, is that person alive or dead? And very much, I don't know why she's Irish all of a sudden. She's probably mocking me.
Sounds accurate.
No bonus dice.
No bonus dice.
3 and 4.
All right. So you don't have plot armor this time, or you don't have your special armor. All right. So you start kind of working in. You hear the roar get even louder for Switch, Sally, and Fitzy. You see this thing turn, and it literally looks like a hairy alligator or hairy crocodile, a little bit larger, and it's sort of running towards you. And Fitzy, for a moment, is having this sort of weird flashback of like crocodiles and pirates and all this other shit. And then we're gonna flash back to we're gonna flash back to green tights and a hat and everything else, and then we're gonna go back to the situation as this thing is just like moving towards you, and it's rushing, and you hear the call, and you hear the call behind you, but right at that moment, Levi is able to hack the door in such a way, and it pops up. What's the name of the credential that you're using this time, Levi?
Oh, this would be what's a good name to use in this? Shit, I can't think of I was gonna use someone from Hackers, but I can't actually think of their actual names. I can only think of their hacker names. So I'm gonna do Tony Danza.
Because he's the boss, right?
No, he's actually
Angela's the boss.
He's actually a private in the military, private dancer.
Yes. A dancer for money.
All right, so Tony Danza, private dancer. All right. So you enter Tony Danza's credential, or you hack Tony Danza's credentials, and he pops up, door slides open, you're able to move inside. The rest of you are, have a moment as you see these two things that are beginning to come together. Do you want to take a pot shot at it? Or are you following Levi through the door?
I'm following. I don't have any weapons.
Does it look like this door can hold this thing?
No, it does not look like the door can hold this thing.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just be like, Switch is just going to be like, everyone go, 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 go. And he's going to be the last one through the door. And as the door is closing, he's going to pull the detonator off of his belt. And I'm going to mark that on my sheet because I do have that. And I'm going to toss that back at the monster behind me as I let the door shut.
Okay. So, as a consequence of Levi's hacking, which had there was a consequence. He succeeded, but there was a consequence. The detonator snags on your belt.
Oh fuck!
As you're trying to close the door. So this is a desperate situation here. What are you going to do to get yourself out of this?
Okay, so the door is closing. The monster's in my face. Detonator's stuck on the belt.
The detonator's stuck on the belt as you're trying to pull it off, and the monsters are closing. And you've already thumbed it. It's got a timer going off.
Okay.
Time to lose the pants.
Yeah. Honestly,
pants or the belt.
I honestly think that's
on the belt.
The only real option here is like we see like because Switch has his two like fancy ass like custom made pistols on his belt. And he's wearing these brown trousers, right? And there's nothing remarkable. And so there's like this split second of decision. And he ditches his pants and tosses pants, grenade and all, or the detonator and all, through the door, and is standing dramatically in his long blue coat and shirt under it.
You do know that Captain and Commando are two different things, don't you?
Oh, wait, when we were talking about mating with it, I mean, we weren't saying literally with the alligator monster.
It's like a sad windsurf.
I need to make a roll for this.
It's a performance check at this point.
No, you do not have to make a roll to take off your pants and throw it out as the door closes, because it's a sort of like this cinematic sort of moment of like cutscenes of you doing this as the monsters are coming together. You ball up the thing. The monsters are starting to move actually towards the door a little bit. As the pants go flying out, the door closes. And there is this sort of shaking of the room real quick, that around you. As the door kind of rattles, as the detonator goes off, and you're just sort of standing there in your pantsless.
I mean, you look like one of those perverts from the fucking Warren, right?
Hey, look, it worked. All right, let's fucking go.
I learned something new today, Captain.
Can you? Yeah, you can button up your coat. Does it not have buttons?
Sally is just not looking at him at all as soon as the pants came off.
Look at that. Like, he's uncircumcised.
He's got...
Not looking.
He's got underwear on.
Wait, doctor, can you perform an operation right now?
No. I think we've got more important things to worry about. This is not a medical procedure.
But I hear that it's a performance enhancer if you just give it a little toot.
All right, can we keep moving?
Can you start wearing underwear? That is my medical advice.
They're gonna have her...
Does that go for all of us, Doctor?
Yes.
Like, we hear the explosion, everything shakes.
Everything shakes. The whole like area, like the stairway that you're in, and the door and the wall of it, everything just kind of vibrates a little bit, and the door kind of rattles.
Well, they definitely know we're here now, so we probably should hurry up, though.
Oh, they already knew we were
I
here.
assumed that the fact that they were shooting at us would probably give it away.
Well, I mean,
Alright,
like, if they didn't know.
Oh, right.
I mean, Switch is more aerodynamic now.
He's already headed down the hall. He's done with this.
That one got me.
So we're gonna do a quick series of cuts. The four of you make your way up the stairway, out into the hallway, back into the university proper. This section looks very different. It looks more like a traditional sort of like educational institution. There are definitely labs and research, but it's not like sort of like a bio, engineering kind of a section. It's not like all kinds of like doors and controls and that kind of a thing. It's more just like rooms and various kinds of things. But as you are making your way towards sort of the area where that the sort of the piece that you're going to be stealing, you find yourself sort of at the doorway of a warehouse, sort of like style room entrance, and this doorway is open. There's no biometric. There's not any controls here or anything else. It seems a little bit more open, and that kind of itches the back of all of your brains just a little bit. It seems a little too weird.
Is there a security system?
No.
No CCTV?
Not that you're aware of. This is the future, and the CCTV stuff is also a little bit more.
Yeah. Can I skulk in?
If you would like to, you are more than welcome to try.
How well lit is this area?
It's like any other sort of warehouse setting. There's a series of like containers and stuff, and so there are running lights, on the ceiling, at various sort of intervals, which means that there are patches of darkness, and the lighting is also sort of obscured by some of those sort of like stacks of stuff.
Okay. And we're searching for an artifact, right?
You noted that it's a precursor artifact. Yes, it's referred to as the as well, but it was when the description that you were given, or that Switch was actually given, was it was a precursor artifact of a particular sort of design.
Yeah, I think if Levi's trying to do it, I will as well. Just trying to kind of sneak into the room, like being a little bit quiet and stealthy here, and trying to get a look. I don't know if Levi's doing that too, but it sounded like he was.
Trying to get an assessment and see if there's like security or something I can spot that I can hack.
So if the two of you want to do like a teamwork sort of a role here, we can do that and have your skulk basically go together. But I need one of you to actually be the lead on this particular role.
Who's better at skulk? I have 1 point.
I have one as well. So why don't if we want to game this, I should lead and you should help, because you haven't used any stress yet, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you would spend 1 stress and you can help me on the skulk roll.
Okay. Where's stress? 1 stress. Okay. Let's do it.
Cool. Alrighty. And what is my position here?
I'm going to say it's risky unless you can argue otherwise.
No,
because you don't really know what you're walking into.
Yeah, that seems right. Standard effect?
I think that this could border on great given the size of the room and, again, the sort of the uncertainty of it. But if you want to go with a controlled or a standard situation, you'll get only a certain amount of information out of it.
No, I'll take the great effect.
Okay. Am I rolling this too?
No, so you're giving me a bonus die.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna treat this as an assist and not necessarily like a teamwork sort of thing. Which there's a different option in jobs where a group can the group can make a roll like they're using their individual skills together, but one person has to lead it, and that person actually eats all the stress for all the failures.
Okay.
So,
cool. All right. I don't know. Is there a devil's bargain here, you think?
If you want a devil's bargain, sure.
Yeah,
I can give you one.
You got one? If you got one, let's do it.
So this is a precursor sort of archaeological and artifact sort of repository. The side effect is, or the devil's bargain is that there is another artifact or element in here that is going to affect one of the group.
Cool. All right, I'll take it. 2 bonus dice, skulking it up. 6. Now let me double check because I rolled a 6 on a risky roll. I may have just generated a gambit.
You may have just generated a what?
A gambit. I believe you can earn gambits in play. Let me just.
That is pretty freaking cool. Yes, you do add a gambit. So.
Cool. So we get 1 gambit as well.
Right. So now you guys are technically back at 3.
Cool.
All right. So as you kind of step into this room, describe how both of you are approaching this, and just for Fitzy and Sally, you guys are going to be on deck in just a second. I'm going to ask you guys what you are doing while they are doing this particular sort of moving into this warehouse section. All right. So Levi, Switch, start narrating your way into this room, and I'll give you all the details.
Yeah, so I imagine that Switch is kind of like darting between like different like low outcroppings and like shelves and like pieces of boxes or what have you, and is just trying to stay like low and undercover as kind of like his methodology here.
My position's a little bit different. Like I peek my head in and I have my goggles on, and it's like zooming in and like looking for like security systems, and when I don't see anything, I just walk in like I'm supposed to be there and blend in.
Okay, so I'm gonna describe what Switch actually sees first, and then we'll come back to Levi, since the two of you are taking vastly different approaches.
Yeah,
Switch, you move in and you're starting to skulk from space to shadow to shadow and kind of make your way through. For the most part, there is nothing actively going on here. You see some autonomous, like droid type robot things that are like moving things around. One looks like it's like a forklift type thing, and it's lifting a container up onto a shelf, and it's sliding it in, and then there's like a barcode scan, and it moves off, and it moves back towards sort of what looks like a conveyor belt of like various like containers, and it's just like returning stuff and sort of storing it in kind of a thing. You see that there is a terminal very right near the container, or sorry, the conveyor belt kind of a thing. And you're able to kind of get an assessment of just like for what appears to be, for the most part, this is a completely sort of automated facility. For Levi, you just walk in like you're owning the place, and you're looking around and kind of taking it in. You don't see with the visible naked eye any of the security systems, because the security systems in this place are fucking advanced. It is like high-end military grade, hegemony sort of like top level technology. Mm-hmm. There are various sort of like mechanisms that are recording all different spectrums of like light and sounds and vibrations and that kind of a thing. And they're all designed to look like parts of the room. Everything about this place.
Teddy bears everywhere that are looking like nanny cams.
I was thinking more Elf on the Shelf, but let's just. But no, so it's like you look at a control panel that should be just like a control panel for like a patch panel of some kind for electrical or whatever. Like it scans with all kinds of tech detail. And as you're kind of like looking around and observing, you're realizing that there are various containers that are false containers, and they're basically surveillance packages. Everything about this place screams, go the fuck away.
Oh. What? Switch.
Yeah, what's going on?
Switch. It doesn't matter. You're darting around and all that. You've already been made since I'm pretty sure before we walked in.
Oh, well,
I mean, you're literally standing next to it. You're looking at the camera right now.
Well, stands out. Well,
I could try to hack it if you can go look for the artifact.
I mean, we're all gonna get seen anyway. Fitzy, Sally, come on, we gotta find this artifact quick. Well, I'll try to shut it all down. I mean, they already saw us.
I mean, I can go try to delete the data.
Right, but I'm saying if you're deleting it anyway.
Well, it's all hegemony stuff up there. It's pretty advanced, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it or not. But
all right, well, I don't know. He's going to start looking around. If he can see anything that looks like it, he's going to let Levi do his thing and try to find this artifact.
Well, so as was described, the there is a terminal by the sort of the conveyor belt where all the sort of the containers are being brought back in, kind of a thing. So that is like the perfect place for him to be able to do that. And while the two of you are having that discussion and doing this, we're going to cut back to Fitzy and Sally. What were you two doing while you know the adventurers were exploring the room?
Sally, you want to take this? You're muted.
Yeah, so Fitzy and Sally like doing artifact things. That's kind of how they met. Sally likes to study them to see if there's any sort of chemical things she could learn from them, or just, yay, shinies. So she's probably gonna whip out a thing and see if she can, if there's any like temperature changes that would indicate where it is, any sort of scent, something a sensor would be able to pick up type deal, heat, etc. Go ahead.
Specifically for the item that you guys are looking for?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of a tool are you using to sort of like to figure this out? Is it like, describe to me the type of tool that this is that it's going to help you figure this out?
Like I said, temperature, sound, scent, heat, that kind of thing. It wouldn't be overly advanced. It'd be very basic, something she didn't whip out until now when she thinks they're close to it. It's not going to be super advanced. Could like see through ships or something.
What is it, like a medical device? You know, I'm imagining technology sort of like in Star Trek. There's like the little device like connected to the tricorder that, you know, just like you.
Sally does have the fine med kit.
Yes, right? I do have a fine med kit. I don't know.
She could mark that on her sheet, and like maybe it's something in the kit.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that totally works. I was just looking for sort of a narrative sort of description of it. Now, with doing that, what type of an action roll are you going to make? Which action seems to apply here?
Study or attune, depending on what the artifact is. I would say attune would mean it's giving off some sort of weird signal, or
attune is like the force.
Yeah,
attune feels like, it feels more mystical than sort of technological. So study. Yeah.
And if it's more of a sound, heat, whatever, would be more of a study roll for me. So
could be a study, or it could be a doctor roll. Not necessarily in the injured sense, but there's an element of it where it's like handle and identify substances, do science, comfort, support, kind of a thing.
So
okay.
So one thing I did notice is that I'm pretty sure, unless you took something different, Sally, didn't you take an ability that is like specifically about studying artifacts?
I have weird.
Hold on, let me pull it up. Oh yeah, no, here you go.
Doctor Strange.
I've got the Doctor Strange thing. That's what it is. Yeah.
So when you study an artifact or doctor a strange substance, okay, so it works for either. All right.
Yeah. So Doctor is probably the way to go.
Yeah, doctor a strange substance. That seems about right.
I feel like this is controlled because the thing is in the hallway and being as the door isn't coming down yet. Until Sally's one of those out of sight, out of mind kind of people when she gets to focusing on this sort of thing.
Okay. All right. So very much a controlled situation there. And I feel like the effect, based on the way that you've described it and based on my read of the Doctor Strange, feels more than a limited. And so if you want to talk about a very sort of like, if you want to talk about sort of that sort of like narrowed focus element of this, if you want to find a way to sort of describe it, I'm okay with either going with standard or great in this particular case.
Okay. For Sally, her Doctor Strange comes from she the gas that she's wearing around her neck that maybe Fitzy would know about, but probably not anybody else. She produces in her lab and kind of sends out. Nobody notices or cares because it pays her rent, etc. But it's a hallucinogen for a cult that essentially goes after these artifacts and praises them, etc. So she's into studying them because it makes her gas better, and makes the more she knows about those things, the more she knows about the universe and what these cults and different things are looking for. She has an interest in it herself, but I wouldn't call her particularly religious.
So it's more about the business end and the scientific elements versus like the mysticism and the belief structure around it.
She is more attuned to it than she'd like to admit, especially after hanging out with Fitzy. She's got a sense for it, but it's not like something she's like, oh yeah, I can do stuff. It's more like, I'm sure there's a scientific reason for that, but I notice things maybe I shouldn't type deal.
Okay.
It's accidental for her.
Okay. Then to me, that sounds like more like a controlled situation, or sorry, a standard situation than a great situation. But I do have one question about this sort of like this like hallucinogenic gas. Is there a name for it that we can refer to it as?
Ooh, I haven't picked one, but I am down to name it.
Okay, well, so figure that out and let us know, and we'll refer to that, moving forward. I'm also going to have some questions for you about the sort of the cult situation at some point that we'll talk about.
I have a note on my sheet which cult it is and all that. So
okay, cool. All right. So with that in mind, it sounds like it's a controlled standard. Okay. Do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain? And separate question, is Fitzy providing any assist here?
Up to Fitzy. I know Sally would like to get her hands on it before everybody else, just to poke at it before they send it off or whatever they're doing with it.
So I don't think that Fitzy is providing an assist in the sense that I'm taking stress and providing her an extra dice, but Fitzy is doing the same thing, just in his own way. As Sherry said, that's how Fitzy and Sally met in hunting for artifacts. So he understands, and when left alone, that's exactly what he's going to do. And he has no problem her doing it her science way, and him doing it his hoodoo kind of way.
Yeah,
all right.
That works for me.
So with that in mind, this is actually something that I think works really well for the two of you have like sort of like tied your characters together. I'm going to say that you're going to be able to give the assist without the stress.
Okay.
And narratively speaking, she does the science, he does the mysticism. There's going to be some element of that for both of you if the success happens. We'll describe what that actually means.
Okay.
Like
So
we'll narratively describe that.
So one bonus anyway?
So one bonus, Fitzy doesn't have to take any stress because of the way that your characters are tied together and the way that the narrative description kind of works here. So perfect.
Okay. 152.
152. Okay, so partial success. There is a consequence, but
for Sally, that's not surprising.
you never know. However, go ahead, Mike.
I'll see you. Consequence, Johnny. So here's what Fitzy does, right? Before you narrate, Johnny, I know it's going to be great, but Fitzy, while Sally is pulling out her, Ghostbuster detector or whatever, Fitzy has an array of like tiny like mandala beads basically on his wrists, and he takes one off and he ties his hair back, and when he ties his hair back you can see that there are two, like, it looks like metal nodes where his temples should be that sort of run to his eyes, and he sort of puts his hands, like, he like puts his hair back, ties it up, and then you see like light move from these metal nodes to his eyes, and he starts looking around, and that's how I'm using a tune there, but as I'm attuning to the frequencies that the Way puts out about this artifact, there was a devil's bargain on the table that somebody will be affected by an artifact.
Oh, yeah.
And I am currently attuned.
You're poorly attuned.
Well, tomato.
Okay.
Also, just for the clerical note, that is a precursor artifact that is in Fitzy's head.
Fair enough. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to describe what Sally sees scientifically. Then I'm going to ask Fitzy a question and narrate what Fitzy sees. And then we will sort of bring the group back together as the communication is happening between Levi and Switch as it comes over the comms for you guys. Sally, is there a particular sort of like, actually this is actually a question for you, is there a particular sort of like element of the med kit when you're doing the scanning? Does it make a particular sound when you find something successfully? Is it like happy emojis, or is it like an alert, or is it just like, just text across the screen kind of a thing?
Maybe some beeping and lights on the screen. I don't know if it would give me specifics. Maybe what kind of thing is detecting: heat, light, sense, smell, whatever. But
all right, I'm going to borrow from what Mike said about it being very, was it Ghostbustery that you said?
Yeah.
All I can picture is the thing with the box, and like boop, boop, and it comes out and it does the ghost
right,
scan.
So the arms come out, right, and you hear boop, 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 and the sort of like the LED display on it, right? At first, there's nothing there, but then it literally pegs as you sort of point it towards the door, as you realize that the sort of the shielding around the walls isn't actually as thick through the door, and it just goes off the charts. And so you're kind of like you're dialing in, and like you're based on the description from the client, from the contact of what it is that you're actually looking for, and you dial in, and it starts to pulse a deep purple, right? And at that point, you're like, interesting. And you realize that you've locked onto something that may match the signal for you. And so we're going to cut over to Fitzy, who's, as you're kind of doing this, he's begun to do his sort of a tune thing as he tunes into the Way. And again, this is the question that I always ask to any Whisper or anybody who got into the Ghost Field, when we were playing the Blades in the Dark. What does the Way look like? What is in Blades in the Dark, we talked about what the Ghost Field looks like. What does the Way look like for Fitzy when he attunes and is sort of looking at it?
I don't think it looks any different, right? I think that what it is Fitzy perceives the auras of things, right? And because the Way pervades everything, even manufactured, because the manufactured items were originally made of natural elements, everything emanates some kind of an aura. People emanate different auras, and it's just that Fitzy's learned to read them, right? In the same way that, like, the scene in The Matrix where Cypher says, oh, I don't even see code anymore, I just see blonde, redhead, brunette. So, like, he can see that kind of aura and just knows who these people are.
All right. So as you're kind of taking in the space and you begin to attune, you can see that the walls are almost incredibly bland in their color, right? They're almost like completely dead. The organic material has been reprocessed so many times that now the material is almost like alien or dead. Through the doorway, you're getting a very similar thing, but because of like the fact that the shielding around it is not so intense, you're getting a wash of color as you kind of look inside, and you're seeing various elements of it, and you're seeing some dead spaces too. Like you're seeing specific boxes that look like dead spaces, but otherwise you're seeing a bunch of things. However, there is this sort of brilliant purple, tiny sort of box that is like emanating from the center of this thing, like right at the center of this large warehouse. And right as Sally's sort of device begins to go boop, boop, and then it like lodges to that like deep purple, like on her her display, you also just kind of focus in on this thing and you see its location, you know, right in the center of like blues and reds and yellows and some other purples and some greens. This is sort of like this just deep purple, like emanating box.
And it's one of those moments where, like, it's like, boop, 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 and we both land, like, in the same area, and we kind of exchange glances, and then I just shout, we got it! And start quickly moving towards that area.
Okay, so as the two of you, like, sort of enter inside, you hear the conversation going back from between Levi and Switch as the group sort of comes back together.
Yeah, do whatever you got to do, we found it!
All right, that's good news.
Yeah. You're over here standing over here pantsless, pulling your dick out, and we're doing all the hard work here.
Oh,
I
Timmy,
blew up a
stop.
goddamn monster.
Oh no! If you realize,
I mean, you
all
threw a
all the
grenade
secu-
at Pants,
cameras-
at the monster.
All the security cameras are seeing your ding donger now.
Oh,
So,
I'm wearing.
oh.
Switch just pulls out a cigarette and lights it. He's just like, I'm wearing underpants.
Now you're fucked by the whole universe. You better deserve that smoke. And Fitzy continues towards the box.
Look, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Work with what you're given, I guess, huh?
So, Levi, you were gonna do something. You were gonna try to hack something.
I was going to try to hack the advanced security system to see if I could do it and see if I could delete the data of us even and Switch's ding dong so it doesn't cast all over the internet.
While
Please
this
tell
is
me that you're
happening,
torn about
I
the
would
last
like
part.
to look for pants.
And that's the other artifact, levitating pants.
If you can describe to me, Switch, where you might actually expect to find pants in a warehouse full of like ancient, you know, artifacts, and you know, it's an archaeological kind of a situation in this warehouse that's run mostly autonomously by robots. If you can describe to me where you find pants, there's no role involved. You can just have fucking pants.
Okay, all right. So here's what happens. So we see like before Fitzy and Sal, like, so yeah, like Fitzy and Sally are like going off and looking. They're looking through. Levi's off doing his thing. Switch is just like rummaging through like all the different stuff, and he ends up coming across like this whole section being like recategorized of like what at one point was probably some sort of display of like ancient clothing of some description or other. And so he comes back to the group wearing like some combination of like a kilt and like one of those like ancient like the kind of skirt kind of like trying to figure out how to describe it. The thing that you would see in like an Egyptian hieroglyphs where they wear that kind of like skirt thing. It's like a combination of that and a kilt that he's wearing as he comes back over. He's like, all right, there we go. We got the artifact. We ready to go? Or
Levi, in a moment of strangeness, Siri leans in very close to you and makes a joke about Switch's new skirt.
Oh, dude, it is a skirt, isn't it?
Oh, see that, Sally? You're safe from the giant monster that wants to fuck everyone. There's 2 ladies now.
all right, look, I think it looks good on me, but I mean,
Wait, don't stand above that bench. Oh, fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Just get everything flapping in the breeze there, don't you? That's curve
look,
your
you guys were
loins.
complaining about it when I blew up the monster. You're complaining about it when I try to help you get the artifact. I'm just trying to please the crowd here.
You were pleasing plenty of crowds beforehand.
I don't know what you're pleasing, but I don't want to know.
All right, Levi, you're now hacking. Tell me about your hacking.
All Right now, I'm trying to get into the security system that they have. So I'm looking for a backdoor and seeing if I can access it there, seeing where it's being broadcasted to, and if I can extract the data from today and turn the system off at the same time. So that's what I'm trying to go for.
Okay, so seems like a controlled situation right now, but there was that little explosion. So I think that there's probably an ongoing search for all of you, not just from a physical sense, like those soldiers or those guards or you know those hired guards are moving their way through the complex. There might also be an element of like security that's trying to like come after you. Like visual, like using the surveillance system. Mm-hmm. So I feel like at least risky.
Okay.
Do you think it's desperate?
Yeah, because this is why I think it's desperate. It's just for the fact that like I'm trying to delete that we were here. Mm-hmm. So we don't become super wanted because we broke into a school and our captain's a pervert.
Is he now?
He's showing his ding dong to the world right now. And he's wearing a skirt now. So now people are getting confused.
He always had underwear on, okay?
Okay, Sam.
Oh, it's good. It's all good.
But I also am trying to delete it because I have a droid that I've been openly talking to that's been having a personality which is not good to people to know about, and that would be another element. So I'm desperately trying to delete the data.
Okay. I have a question for Fitzy before anything else. Before we get to this particular role.
Hit me with your best shot.
Are you still attuned to the way? Are you still like doing that whole? Okay.
I mean, I don't have the artifact in my hands yet, so.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Now, so we're calling it desperate. The effect, I think, is I think if you're going for anything less than great, and you want a total removal of all of the data, including any reference to Siri as being a droid or a robot or whatever, right? I think that
being sentient at
all, right? All of that. Which makes me ask a question real quick. If nobody knows that Siri is sentient, does Siri have an alias that she uses that she's known by as her hacker pseudonym that's separate? Because you talked about her having a personality that's known on the net. And is it Alexa?
Yes.
All right. Okay. That's just curious. Okay. So desperate. Great. Mark your playbook, your XP for that attribute again.
Can I use a gambit?
Yes. I was going to say you should definitely use a gambit.
You should definitely use a gambit. And then I'm going to ask again, do you want to take a devil's bargain, or do you want to get an assist from somebody?
I don't know who can assist me with hacking. If someone
do you need to have a dot and something to help with it? I can't remember.
No, you just have to offer a narrative element that just really works.
What kind of thing are we hacking this time?
We're hacking the hegemony security system, which is like advanced technology.
I know some base mechanic stuff, but I don't know if I'd be super helpful. like
That's the power button. Thank you for that.
that's the power button.
What we'll say then is because I have a dot in study, so what I'll do is I'll help Levi, and the way I'm helping here is Switch's background in general criminal activity. He actually at one point in his career, when he was working as a fixer for the Turner Society, there was a case that he was helping them try to like get out of, where there was some video evidence on a similar type recording device, and he had to be involved in getting that deleted. So he knows a couple tricks and tips.
Okay.
So
Perfect. So you get that 1 die assist. Again, you can either push yourself or take a devil's bargain.
well, it's gambit, so I get another dice, right?
Yeah,
You got
so
a
you
gambit?
can't push yourself and do a gambit.
Oh, I thought you could.
I'm almost positive you can't. Let me double check.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The way that I read it was that gambits are separate from the push yourself and devil's bargain, because it's the push yourself or devil's bargain that you can do, not both.
Yeah, that's correct. What you just said. You can take a gambit and push yourself or devil's bargain.
And take an assist.
And take an assist.
So up to three dice.
Yeah.
I'll push myself at the same time.
So you take 2 stress.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, 2 stress.
That's fine.
1 for helping your friends, 2 for helping yourself.
Okay, and then that means I get
3.
3 dice. Okay.
3 dice. Yeah.
3 so this is 5 dice. Ooh.
That's so.
Oh. Fuck.
Oh wow.
That's bad. That's the most bad.
That's the most bad that could bad.
Yeah, that's a critical
there's
failure.
A 4 in there. No, there's a 4 in there.
No.
No, yeah, right.
He still succeeds. There's still a consequence, but he still succeeds.
You got the 4, so it's a partial success.
It is a partial success. Now, here's an element of things. That are interesting about the way that effect kind of comes in and plays in the game, because because we established the sort of the great. If you had succeeded, with the great effect, in the desperate situation, you would have like completely blown away the clock that was going on here. Like there's a 4-position clock that I've got going on in the background, and I'm describing this mechanically speaking, so that you get a little bit more understanding of how position and effect kind of play in. Because this was sort of a great effect, but also a desperate situation. You only are able to clear half of the clock, and there's also severe consequences coming in. So mechanically speaking here. So as you're kind of doing it, you begin to shut down sort of like all the visual sort of sensors, but a separate sort of like watchdog security system begins to sort of take off in the background and is starting to engage and start relighting those systems back up. Thus, you're going to have to either shut down everything else quickly, or this thing is going to realize what's going on and make that happen. Make all the security come back up and alert everybody where you are. Something is paying attention to the system at this point, and you can sort of see it. And Siri begins to sort of like taunt you a little bit about this. It's like, oh, well, there's this other thing over here. You better start paying attention to it. And so as you're kind of figuring out, you're going to need to describe another way that you're going to solve this problem. I'm going to cut back to Fitzy and Sally. Switch, since you're participating, you're doing the support with him. It's going to be the 2 of you at the terminal while this is going on. And so Sally and Fitzy, while Levi is sort of hacking this particular thing, tell me what you guys are doing to locate the artifact itself.
Didn't we do that?
You did. So you started to you located it sort of in the center of this, but now I need a narrative sort of like getting you to that actual like location itself. What's the disposition you guys are taking here?
To quickly walk.
I'm gonna let him lead, but be close by.
Yeah, I mean, there's no enemies here that we've seen, right? The door's closed. The giant, furry crocodile is outside. No one with guns is shooting at us. Levi's taking care of what he's got to take care of. So, I mean, there's, like, haste, right? Because we got to take this thing and get out of here. But, like, there's no, like, I'm not getting shot at. So I'm not moving, like, desperately running between boxes and stuff. So yeah, I'm just walking quickly towards this, wherever this direction is that the beeping is leading and that the way is leading towards this artifact.
All right, so you're walking down sort of like the
end of Indiana Jones.
Right. Well, in Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, beginning of the Crystal Skull kind of a situation, right? So you're kind of moving down, and as you're attuned to the way, like you're seeing like various like auras and emanations. A couple of times, you're not quite sure. You actually see red elements moving, like across your vision. It's not like the aura or the energy of the artifacts, that are infused with the way, that are like they're emanating and like stuff, little like flourishes are coming off, or like there's like a flare coming off of it. These are actual distinct sort of like visual entities that look like auras, but there's nothing at the center of them that are moving in the area.
Since I'm attuned and know what that stuff means, what does a red aura mean?
Red aura means a biological entity of some kind. Like it's a biological entity of origin.
I think, like, at the moment, especially since Sally's nearby, like, as I'm attuning, like, my hands are kind of out, all right? And, like, as I see one kind of go, I like, move, but it's not like a fight move. It's more like a Tai Chi, like a mystical move. And I'm kind of waving through this red aura to confirm that it is, in fact, just, like, vapor. And that I'm seeing something, right? That I must be drunk. So I kind of like wave my hand as the aura passes, and then continue to not draw like concern to Sally.
So as you do that, it sort of dissipates a little bit, but then like it reforms and it continues to move in the general direction towards Levi and Switch. Like it like moves past you and just continues on that direction.
They have this. I'm drunk.
All right. So as the two of you are, kind of make your way past, you see a couple more of these things, and again, they're moving around in this sort of thing, this element. And for Sally, occasionally, that like deep purple thing, like gets disrupted, and you see like a deep red thing, like flash on the screen, and then it goes back to the deep purple status. None of the other ones, Fitzy, move in any other direction, like specifically, except for that one that you touched.
Okay, weird. Yeah, I mean, as long as Sally doesn't say anything, I don't either. Or Fitzy doesn't either. And he just keeps moving towards this artifact.
And so as you kind of make your way, down this hallway, or this row of like containers and stuff, you realize that it's a container about 3 sort of levels up on this sort of, these huge sort of shelf structures. And it's relatively small. It looks like a box, like a box that almost you could like grab on your hand, but it's in the middle of a container of some kind. 3 things up.
Shite. I'm gonna have to climb up there.
Yep, you are.
Oh, okay. It's just defaulting to me. All right. Then in that case, if anything comes at you, just give me an effeminate scream if you could.
All right, fine. Do you want me to climb first?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll do it. Do all the work around here. Just make candy and sniff glue. And he begins to climb.
We'll put you back together when you get hurt.
The way.
Uh-huh.
And he begins to climb the boxes to find this thing.
All right, so as you begin your climb up, we're going to cut back to Levi and Switch.
Where ghosts have attacked you.
Siri's like just freaking out, like with like information. She's like streaming you. It's gone from taunting to she's actually working with you at this particular point. She realizes that her own existence is threatened by this security subsystem.
Right now, the security subsystem, I'm currently writing a script because I have a script template and I'm modifying it for this. It's going to be some Python and some HTML and maybe some Java. But basically what it does, it's called Squirrel. and it distracts the watchdog. And so what it does is that it makes a dummy copy over the already turned off system that it's trying to turn on. And then it makes it look like it turned on, but really behind it, it's still off. And that's what he's like trying to type up right now. And he's just like typing that up on a little pad, and he's got his laptop hooked up to it. And he's like,
is Switch going to offer any type of assist here again for this before we get started?
I think I can't even think of how I would assist, so probably not.
Okay. So this is another desperate situation here.
yeah.
If you're using hack, it's definitely desperate. And given the effort that you started, that was great. This feels either more standard or limited because you're trying to prevent the subsystem from actually doing its thing. Unless you can describe.
I might be rigging.
Rigging. Okay.
I might be rigging something together to prevent this from happening. It is hacking, but I'm also creating something and doing preventative stuff at the same time.
Disable trap, pick a lock, crack a safe. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's go with rig instead.
Okay.
If that's the method, I think that maybe Switch can help then. I think Switch helps by like being kind of like an extra set of hands, and he has a set of tools. Does that seem to fit? So it's like he's like kind of like holding things open while Levi goes in and gets in there.
All right, so take another point of stress.
Yep.
And Levi gets an additional die.
Can I do the devil's bargain?
What?
Devil's bargain?
Would you like a devil's bargain this time?
Let's do it.
If you do this, okay, if you take the devil's bargain, your hacker footprint will be left in the system for somebody to track, regardless of whether you succeed or fail.
Success or fail.
Yeah, let's do it.
YOLO.
Okay.
YOLO. That give me some street cred. Okay, desperate. Limited, you said?
Well, it's if you can argue anything besides limited. I mean, because at this point, what you're trying to do is you're trying to basically rig. You're trying to disable the watchdog subsystem. If there's some element that you think actually makes more sense than just that to describe that that has a larger effect, I'm okay with hearing that.
Can I make a sub-program at the same time that would also retrieve any artifacts that are on site?
Sure. We'll call that standard.
Okay. So standard. And how many dice do you want bonus? Which is one?
You get one. You get 2 bonus dice. 1 for the push, 1 for the devil's bargain.
Okay. Here we go. 4, 5, 4, 2.
All right. 5. Another partial success.
Okay.
All right. So you're able to successfully, you dig in. You're able to insert this sort of like shim in between sort of the subsystem and the actual security system, and the watchdog program starts to interact with it and realizes that there's a glitch and that the system has returned to normal. And then you see the status symbol, the status icon for the watchdog system just basically shut down and go to an off state again. As the data begins to kind of stream in front of you for all of the information about sort of like the 4 of you in this warehouse setting, and then you watch as the subsystem sort of like the finish of the command basically deletes all that information. And the side effect of that is that it actually gives you access to sort of like the larger complexes subsystem.
Mm-hmm.
And like it starts displaying various different like visual like screens that are coming up as you realize that the guards, the hired guards, have entered sort of the ancient artifact and archaeological subsection of the complex. and they are currently moving in your direction, and they'll be there in 60 seconds. And that is the consequence from that sort of roll. Mm-hmm. Now, you asked for a greater or standard effect for other information about artifacts in the warehouse. What are you looking for?
Well, basically, I was doing a subroutine at the same time to get, because we have a description of the artifact that we're supposed to be looking for, right?
Yes.
I would be putting the details of that description and then having it would be like a SQL query that's going to run at the same time. That's gonna be like looking for things that are archived with that description or fit those descriptions, and then that are at artifact status, and pulling them up and grabbing them and bringing them down to here.
So bringing any information about that particular artifact.
Like the actual, like a crane arm, grab that fucking artifact and fucking bring it here.
Good.
All right. That all executes. We're gonna cut back to Fitzy as he's climbing up. He's like climbing up, and he goes to reach for the box, the container, the large container that has this. And as he's reaching it, it just pulls back from him and then begins to slide down. As Fitzy, you're kind of looking over and you see that there is an automated sort of like dolly system that is just like your crane system that has just grabbed it and pulled the thing off, and it is now sort of disappearing back down a notch.
Oh, for shite's sake, a robot took the artifact! Are you shitting me?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
For fucking...
And at that point, do we have like comms or something, or would you yell?
Oh yeah,
No, you just heard Fitzy scream.
I was like,
for shite's sake!
Shut up, that's me. We got 60 seconds before the
I
guards.
climbed a fucking mountain of boxes!
Did you?
I'm sorry. I didn't ask you to climb a fucking mountain of boxes.
All right, everyone, shut the fuck up. Did you just say 60 seconds? Let's fucking go.
Oh, like 45 seconds now.
Shit.
Oh, now
So
we're
he
in a
starts
rush.
booking it for the exit. He knows where the exit is based on the map. He's scoped out the exit. He's booking it, and he expected the crew to follow.
Where's the exit? I can't see you over
I
these
don't have
boxes.
the artifact yet.
Well, if you had left it where it was, we would have had it.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know fucking Climby McGee was going up there.
I literally said I found the artifact. And you said you said I'm typing with my robot.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in my ears.
Clearly.
Less drugs for you next time, Levi.
What? No,
That's
that's
what you
not
get.
fucking fair. That's not fair.
The children
was
misbehave, they
his fault.
don't get any candy.
I'm destroying all the bottles of liquor in the fucking ship now.
I will
You can have
crash
the liquor,
the
just
entire
you
ship
can't have
into
the
the sun. Drive it into a fucking store.
Sally has just started running in the direction of not the door that's closest to her because she has no fucking clue.
Switch, give me a heading. North, northeast, north by northwest. What is the direction?
I think like as this is happening, like he's hearing this argument, he's booking it for the exit. Switch just pulls out his pistol and starts shooting up.
Great! Shoot the ghosts! And
You
he
see a
runs.
laser burst shooting up in the sky.
Do I have the artifact yet? I'm waiting for the arm to bring it to me.
All right.
Everyone has left me.
I'm gonna take a teeny bit of narrative control of Levi and talk about either he's got like glasses or an implant or something, and so he's got like a little bit of like a heads-up display in his visual like acuity. Maybe it's like a device that he's
He's
wearing
got
or
the
something.
future of Google Glass.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. And there's at the bottom there's like this counter that automatically set when he realized that they were about 60 seconds out. It's like he thought something, or maybe Siri thought something, like read something, and like this counter's going on. And at 45 seconds, you're still waiting at the terminal as these three fucks are just like beginning to run in various directions, and the thing pulls up and it pops open. Like the lid just pops open and it's just like it's slightly ajar.
Mine, and then I grab it.
And so you pop it open and you look inside, and like on this sort of like container, sort of like, of like foam and like plasteel and everything to keep it kind of like secured, you reach inside and there is this sort of crystalline sort of box structure with all of these various sort of glyphs and like raised sort of like elements to it, and there's all what looks to be precursor writing. It's not necessarily clear that it's identified as just Ur writing, but it's precursor writing, and it's all over this thing. And there are some symbols, and there are 3 sort of like symbols that looked, on one side that look to represent 3 stars in a planetary system, kind of a thing. Like there's like a planetary sort of structure, and there are 3 star, or like a solar system kind of structure, and there are 3 stars on the side of it, on this, like at the center of this. And so as you're kind of grabbing it, Fitzy, for just a second, it's like you hear like this like emanating sort of sound pulse that actually comes from an element of the way, and it just kind of pulses out. It makes you look back for a second as you see Levi just kind of grabbing this thing out of it,
pulling it out, going.
And as that happens, you also notice that the red sort of like weird sort of aura shape moves in the direction towards Levi. And as it passes between your sort of like visionscape, like your vision of like that, between you and what you see as Siri, it disappears.
I think, yeah, he looks back and sees Levi pull it and goes, "Oh, shite!" in like slow motion. And then he sees the thing and he goes, "Watch out for the ghosts!"
What the fuck are you talking about?
Just run!
Just run! Yeah, Sally will yell it too.
What the fucking ghost? I have a tune, by the way. Do I sense ghosts? It's more for robots, like when I build robots, but I don't think I would.
Would you attune in this particular moment?
Yeah, like
I would attune this. If something was up with Siri, I would sense it. Or not sense it, but like kind of be like.
Nothing seems off to you right now.
Okay.
And the counter is sort of counting down to 30 seconds.
Okay.
And that's when you hear the blaster fire start at the door.
We got to go!
I'm going! I'm like carrying the thing. I'm like, Siri, you fucking slow piece of shit.
As she just kind of like hesitates for a second and like rattles, and then just continues on and starts to throw expletives your general direction
Run
about
faster,
you.
nerd!
Shut the fuck up!
All right.
I have to climb a mountain. Ain't no mountain high enough.
It was.
Ain't no valley low enough.
It was perfectly high until you stole it with a robot.
You should have been faster.
So we're going to cut as Switch is like yelling which direction to go. It's a montage of going out the far side door, running down various corridors, blaster fire sort of going on as we kind of make our way, through back to the complex towards the landing pad where your ship is. And as you kind of step out towards the door, you see the ship sitting there in front of you. Somebody describe to me what the Blaze of Glory looks like.
No, it's the glory hole, and it's what's on side of the ship.
Oh, I'm sorry. I understood that it was called the Blaze of Glory. So please tell me, how is it called the Glory Hole?
When it was registered.
All right, you stop right goddamn there right now, Levi. It is not called the goddamn Glory Hole. It is the goddamn Blaze of Glory. I don't care how many times I gotta change the goddamn name of the goddamn ship.
Listen, it's gonna be cold molten slag in a minute. They're shooting at us with blasters. We have to go.
And I hold up the registry, and it says the Glory Hole on it.
And he points out like this.
If we flash back to when Switch and Levi were purchasing the ship, Levi was very much like they were having an argument about naming the ship. And then I believe Switch got distracted by something, or he had to take a call. And so I talked to the guy, and I was like, "You're gonna name it the Glory Hole." And like, look, I got it all set. You just need to hit enter there on my little data pad. And he hit enter, and he was like, "Now it's the Glory Hole." And ever since, you keep trying to change it back, and he just keeps changing it. Yeah, and so he's like, "Oh, it's the Blaze of Glory," and I'm like, "No, it's the Glory Hole, and like running towards the ship.
Yeah, I haven't honestly thought that much. So the one thing that I was thinking about about like how the ship looked is that it would have that kind of like space western kind of like beat up but like homey look to it. But I hadn't thought much about it beyond that.
Okay, so I'll give you guys another opportunity to describe it at some point. But you're running to the glory. I'm just going to call it the glory right now. Whether it's a blaze of, or it's got a hole or whatever, it's the glory. And you guys are running towards the glory. Blaster fire is coming out, at you. The squad of 10 has turned into 4 squads of 10, so there's 40 and they're coming from various directions. Blaster fires. You guys are running across the tarmac.
You're all overcompensating.
You're able to kind of get into the ship as the kind of hatch opens, and then the 4 of you get inside and the hatch kind of closes. Blaster fire sort of pinging off. What are you guys doing? You've got a moment to breathe before the next sort of thing happens. You just got to your ship. What's going on?
Getting the fuck out of here. I'm getting the engines going.
Yeah. So I think. Go ahead. Sorry, Sally.
No. I just double check everybody as they get to the door that they're not bleeding for some reason.
Nice.
My nose is bleeding, but it's probably from the drugs.
So
Right.
I think
she knows. I'll fix that later. It's not.
So Switch gets in the ship and immediately starts shouting for people to get to their positions. He's like, all right, Levi, head down to the engine room. He's like getting into the cockpit. He's like hitting all the buttons. He's like, Fitzy, make sure none of them get through the goddamn door.
Just punch the bullets out of the air. No worries. And he hits the conveyor to like close the door.
And then Switch will punch it, and as soon as they get like a little bit of lift where it's like not going to destroy everything in sight, he's going to hit the afterburners and just like zip us the hell out of there.
All right, ship begins to kind of lift off, right, and the blaster fire keeps coming, right, and so the ship kind of turns a little bit, and you get a sense of what it's like to be on Nightfall. Nightfall is an interesting planet. Not only is it sort of like a cultural hub and a sort of a planet of like, sort of like a hodgepodge, like a melting pot of like various cultures and races, and species and all of that. It's a planet surrounded by 13 moons. These 13 moons cause the daylight that cause daylight for the sort of the light, the star or whatever, or coming onto the planet, to be eclipsed very often, and it's seemingly erratic. It would take a computer to calculate when exactly daylight is going to come and go. Another interesting side effect of this is the fact that it makes escaping Nightfall and like kind of punching it and afterburning very difficult, because there are weird sort of gravity wells that have to be navigated, and you could if you hit it at the wrong time, there could be this thing. And so the navigation computer needs to actually start to process, to do the job effectively, to be able to help you. So you have to give it a moment to do that. But blaster fire is happening, the ship's starting to take off, you're feeling very safe. And that's when the proximity sensor starts to go off. And you see that on the ship's systems, there are 3 ships beginning to close in on you. And these are fast attack ships. And it sounds like the Glory is not that great of a ship when it comes to like being fast and maneuverable. And so these ships are closing in, the blaster fire starts, and you hear a crackle over the screen or over the radio as it kind of comes in. Unidentified ship, exiting Nightfall. Halt. Turn around. Land. Giving you a moment to respond or to take another action.
I think Switch just like hits the comm and is just like, that's gonna be a no, Chief, and then just hits the throttle.
What? What are you saying there?
You're so excited, but you're muted.
I'm muted. I'm like typing. I want to hack credentials and send it off to the 3 ships.
All right. Levi's hacking credentials. The nav computer is doing its thing. Switch is kind of saying, no, Chief. What are Sally and Fitzy doing in this particular case?
I think Sally's tried to locate the artifact and start studying it.
Okay. What about Fitzy?
Fitzy has seen the early 2000s movie Wing Commander, and he doesn't have time for this navigation computer. And he's going to figure out himself. He's going to let the way guide us through space. That's how he's done it all this time beforehand. So I'm going to try to feel my way through the stars.
Okay, you're going to try to feel your way through the stars, but like, if I remember correctly, Switch is in control as the pilot right now. What do you do to do this? How do you take over here?
I think I just come up to Switch and I just say, if you don't mind, I think I could do this a lot faster than the computer can. Or at least just move the sticky things and I'll tell you where to go.
So it's like he's like pointing out the shot, and it's just like hit it now.
Basically, I'm trying to take place of the navigation.
Got it. Yeah. So Switch will just like look over his shoulder. He's like, "All right, you got the navigation computer. You tell me when to punch this thing, and I'll take us the fuck out of here."
All right, wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. I'm gonna roll a 2 in Jen. Oh, you son of a bitch. Okay.
Damn it, I'm hacking.
All right. That was
staring at not something that's good back from anyway.
Damn it. All right. That was episode 1 of the Cursed Show, Blaze of Glory, or AKA the Glory Hole. You can find us at #GloryHole on Twitter. Don't do that. Don't do that. That being said, thanks for everyone who stuck through that. If you missed most of the show, it'll be on YouTube soon. That's why you're watching it right now.
I literally, that's why when I tweet out the show, I'm gonna like, instead of the Blaze of Glory, I'm gonna put #GloryHole.
I hate it.
So that's the name of episode 2, by the way.
No,
we're
it's
just
not.
going with that right now.
No, it's not. I can't put that on YouTube.
Why?
That being said, let's go around, do our introductions, and get the hell out of here. We'll start with Captain Glory Hole himself. McLoken, who are you? Where can we find you, and what are you up to?
I'm McLoka. You can find me at twitch.tv/McLoka. I do GTA RP a lot of times, and I'm going to be on this show, and I'm on another show tomorrow on Cobalt Press called World Tree Burns, where I play a gnome, and I'm adorable, and I don't murder people. Okay, that's me.
Perfect. Cherry, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
I'm Cherry Babam. I do the GTA RPs as well. And we've been doing couch streams lately, so lots of Nintendo PS4 games, just chilling, hanging, testing my relationship. So come hang out for that sometime.
Nice. Sam, who are you? Where can we find you, and what are you up to?
I am Sam, twitch.tv/WizandFool, Twitter @TheWizandFool. I am on AP Gaming Reels show with Johnny on Sundays, playing a little bit Game of Thrones RP, and that's where you can find me other than here. And I also just want to give a big shout out to everyone for joining me, because I've been really wanting to play like this game for a really long time, and I'm super excited to get a chance. So thank you guys all for joining me.
It's been a blast.
We did it.
And last but always least, Video Space Cowboy. Johnny, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And what are you up to?
Video Store Cowboy everywhere except Twitter, where it's a 15-character limit, so it's Vid Store Cowboy. You will see me next on Arvin Elrond's channel for a little space opera 5e style called Esper Genesis, and then back here next week. Thanks, guys. You guys did amazing for a first sort of like run into this. This space opera stuff is actually my bread and butter. More than fantasy or more than anything else, I love space operas, and this was going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see where this goes.
I can't wait to see who takes their pants off next. That being said, thank you guys so much. If you're not in our Discord, well, if you're not in our Discord, you should get there. And if you guys want to support the channel, please go check out our Patreon. Oh God! And from all of us to you, bye bye.